Okay, so back to kind of your trajectory into the music business. I'm following you from that you moved from Detroit to LA, and in LA in the early 40s or late 40s, you were basically not into music, but when you moved
I
up,
was.
oh, were you? Oh,
Well,
okay.
the People's Songs chapter down there.
Oh, okay.
Folk music.
Okay, so you were into the folk music.
I met there, and you know,
Folk music, and then you. How did you end up moving to Berkeley?
my mom was moved out here for a year or so, and
Was that Berkeley?
no, San Francisco.
San Francisco.
And I was stone broke, and my husband was useless.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, married her second husband, and he was very generous with her, and she said, "Come and stay with me for a bit until you get your feet on the ground." So we came up here.
Mm-hmm. And you already had one child by that time?
That was
Yeah. Okay.
the first. So I moved up here with an infant in my arms and my no good for anything husband.
And we won't even say names.
You know who.
We won't say names.
But you know who it is.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And so you ended up, I think in the beginning, sitting in with people like Turk Murphy. Is that right?
Well, Turk wasn't much of. He didn't like sit-ins. He was pretty rigid about a lot of it. But he did let me once in a while.
Right.
But he hired not he, but Peggy Toke Watkins, who ran Tin Angel.
Okay.
Hired me for this one particular gig there because of the Republican convention was going to happen, and they knew there would be a lot of conventioneers wanting to go out and be rowdy in the traditional jazz club, and they might like to have a girl singer, right?
Right.
So, but my problem with the club owners, they were thinking I was going to be a red hot mama.
Right.
No way, you know.
You were the brassy blonde.
No, not even. No, sir. I'm bringing the truth. I'm telling all the troubles.
Yeah.
As well as the victories.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my first paid decent gig around the waterfront. But then I got this thing at Jack's Waterfront Hangout. I was supposed to work with the piano player they had, but he was, listen, dig this. He used to play his big thing of his piano playing part of the show. He would show you how he could play with oranges on the keyboard.
Sounds very messy.
Oh God! And he dressed like a clothing store dummy.
Oh,
exactly.
Man.
With his
straw hat. Yeah.
Little handkerchief with the points and.
Right.
Anyway, I hired Dick Oxtott, who played both cornet and banjo, and Bill Erickson, who was a good piano player, and that was my band. And Dick got them both striped shirts, like a zebra kind of thing, and he called them the Polecats. So the Polecats was my backup group.
So
2 years of that.
So by the time
that was like going to college, by the way.
By the time this came out, we're talking like 1957, and this album, it sounds like, kind of catapulted you out into the national scene.
Yeah, a guy came in one night to Jack's Waterfronts and wanted to introduce you to this guy, Alan something or other, who's got a label he's starting and he wants to record you. Do you want to make a record? I go like, oh yeah, sure. Like it was nothing, but of course, it was really big. Anyway, yeah, that did catapult me out of those kind of, because as soon as you have a record that gets some good reviews, and I got some great reviews.
Was this the one where who was the guy from Downbeat, the real famous writer, Leonard Feather, Bessie Smith in stereo.
Bessie Smith.
Yeah. Was that for this album?
I guess. I don't remember exactly, but I know he coined that phrase, which I thought was a little overblown. But
well, and I know didn't you win some what was it, Downbeat Jazz Polls or something? Or?
Playboy magazine.
Playboy magazine, right.
Sort of jazz, they've given an award out to different...
Right.
And I was nominated for one
that
of their
was a big
awards.
deal back then.
It was sort of... The most fun, though, with Playboy was when I started playing Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
And you ended up on the TV show, right?
I was, Hefner got me onto his, what was it called?
Playboy After Dark.
Yeah, Playboy
Yeah.
After Dark. I did 3 songs. The first one was, Why Don't You Do Right?
Right.
Plenty of money.
Great song, yeah.
And the
Lil
second
Green.
song that I did was this Salvation Army song. It's a parody. It's a joke. It's a joke song.
Okay.
Nina hates it that I did it on that show because she doesn't see me as a comedian. Because, away, you have to beat a drum. Way away with rum by gum, with rum by gum, with rum by gum. And the audience just loves singing away, away with rum by gum.
Right.
The song of the Salvation Army. Well, guess what? I got Hefner on his knees with a little drum mallet playing the drum. See?
You're probably the only one that pulled
Got
that
him
off.
on his knees like that.
That's right. Got him on his knees.
Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, Chicago was a real, I started going there a lot.
Now, were you playing Gate of the Horn pretty much every
Gate
time?
of Horn and another place called the Continental. Right. Continental was a real gangster type jazz club with great food, incredible Italian food. And for piano player, Art Hodes.
Wow.
Art Hodes.
That's heavy duty,
Yes,
man.
it was.
Yeah.
In fact, Art, I used to do stuff like the 12-bar blues. I used to always saw them. I was more of a folk singer in the sense that I just saw them as a string of verses, and you can interplay the verses, and not as a fixed song, but just verses, more or less like flamenco is. Just floating verses and I
kind of add stuff at will.
Yeah, so I would say about a blues, I just say, okay, here's the key and here's the thing. Right. I don't want to tell you the name of it because I might
change it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started to do that, and Art says, "What's the name of it?" Because he knows. Right. The thing was, it had a very particular accompaniment on the original recording, where I got it.
Yeah.
Art, of course, starts to play that. He knows exactly. Oh, he was wonderful. What a
awesome.
Sweet man.
Well, you've really worked. I mean, to me, the piano players that you've worked with is just stunning. The list of people. I mean, somebody like Art Hodes or Otis Spann or Little Brother Montgomery.
Yeah. Well, Kenny Whitson was the main one.
Oh, and Earl Father Hines. Yeah.
But those were kind of one-off things I did.
Right.
But Kenny Whitson was the man. I mean,
and he was your main piano player for
Kenny Whitson
4 or 5
could read
years.
my mind, I swear.
Right.
I could start a song with the least shred of identifying it, and he'd be on it already.
And he was the one that played trumpet
cornet
and piano at the same time.
Kept on with his left hand and blowing it. But not just any old cornet solo, really top-notch.
Top-notch, yeah.
Really could have made it just on that.
And then you also had Wellman Braun.
Bro
on bass,
bass, who was he was instrumental with Duke
one
Ellington.
One of Ellington's first guys, and Count Basie.
He was the one who played that hot bass that made hot jazz.
Yeah. So he was one of the real creators
yes, he was.
Of jazz.
Bro had retired. He was already in his 70s. But Kenny and I, just the two of us, I kept wanting to get a bass player just so that he could, once in a while, could concentrate on the horn more,
Mm-hmm.
And let's get a bass player. And Kenny would always say, no, they don't, none of them have the time right. They all give me a stomach ache. Yeah, because he was very particular about the time, and that's why we got along so well.
Right.
I didn't realize until I worked with him,
how important
particular
that is.
I was. That's why I didn't like. I had, before I found Kenny, I sang with every decent trad player in the L.A. area. I swear, I was down there then. Yeah. And I'd have them for one night, and I'd say,
not making it.
Might be great over there,
sounds
but
like you had sounds like you had really good a good idea of what you did and didn't want.
Exactly.
And that's crucial.
Yes, but it was in my body.
What
not
would
in my
make
brain.
you comfortable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was. I just knew.
So how did you talk Wellman into coming on
Kenny's
board?
the one who did it.
Oh, he did.
First of all, Kenny showed up. One of my fans brought him in late at night at the end of the show. Comes in and says, I'm all packed up. The house is dark. Everyone's gone. I'm just about to leave. And this guy comes along and he says, I got your piano player. Because I've been saying all the time to the audiences,
Right.
if you know a blues player that you think is great, I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I got your piano player. And I said, well, I'm too tired. Oh, well, he came a long way. Okay, all right. And I hear him playing out in a darkened room out there.
This is at the Ash Grove?
At the Ash Grove. Yeah. And I hear him playing, and I go like, wait a minute.
I don't want to blow this off. Yeah.
And so I went in there and started jamming with him right away. And so we worked together forever. And then, okay, how do we get the bass player? Kenny was happy with the idea of a bass player, but it had to be the bass player.
Yeah.
So he found out that Wellman had retired from the Ellington Band and was now residing somewhere out in the environs of L.A., had sold his bass, was just chilling.
Yeah.
And he started to court him. He made friends.
Wow.
He kept going over to his house, cooking together. Wellman liked to cook black-eyed peas and different things. Oh, really good gumbo. And Kenny would be cooking and talking food and a little music and blah, blah, blah. Finally won him over. Would you like to come and try it out? Well, Wellman just finally decided, all right, I don't have a bass anymore. I've got to buy a bass now. And so he comes in. Well, we had this booking, and it was a 2-week gig, which was, in those days, the way they made gigs. It wasn't just one night all.
Right.
I don't know where this one night at a time thing came up.
It's the hardest thing in the world on the road nowadays.
And it can't be economical.
It's brutal.
For anybody.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Right away, though, in that first week, I thought, uh-oh, the old man's too old. He couldn't quite get it.
Yeah.
But by the end of the week, he was getting it.
Yeah.
And it was starting to
It must have been
blow me
exciting,
away.
yeah.
And then I said, well, you got to work with us. And he said, okay, he would work with us. He did. Solid. Never missed a night. Worked with us. He was in his late 70s then.
Wow.
And he, honestly, he never once let me down in any way at all. I found out later, after he died, that he had been called back given an offer to come back and play with Louis.
Yeah.
And another from Duke, back to Duke.
That's
and he
heavy
turned
duty.
them both down.
That's incredible.
On behalf of staying with me.
That's amazing.
It blew me.
That is amazing.
That's the best validation
I know. That is super big validation.
Really.
Yeah.
And he's, he said he just liked the whole thing. He liked my politics, I think, too.
Yeah.
He liked the whole.
He must have liked the vibe of it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to say he liked to watch my
like to watch your bandstand signals.
Right. So anyway, that was Wellman. Oh my God, I love that man. We thought of ourselves as kind of a little father,
team,
son, and sister.
Yeah.
A little family.
Yeah, that's nice. I know you met Louis Armstrong around this same time, or maybe it was earlier, but he saw you, I gather.
Well, yes, he did, but it was a live show, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was invited to be on a show in Pasadena with the Firehouse Five, me singing with the Firehouse Five.
Right.
I said, okay, I'd do it on the grounds that it was opposite Louis' band. And I thought, oh, can't miss that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So here's the juicy part of the story. I was working in a club in New York at the time that I got the invitation. It was one of those month-long or something kind of a
residency.
With some time in there. And it was in the Village, and it was a place that was frequented by the people from Billboard and Variety, and they wrote about all the time. It was a very good spot to be in.
Sounds like.
And I was, one night I get this telegram inviting me to go to this Pasadena thing, but it's right during that period.
Right.
How am I going to fly out there and do that and fly right back when as broke as I am?
Right.
Because I was forever running from the bill collector because, I had 3 kids,
Sure.
a wonderful but not a money-raising husband. That night, I'm singing away, and I see in the back the shining face of Bill Basie.
Wow.
He came down. We were friends already on a casual basis. I mean,
Wow.
we knew each other, and he had come just to check me out.
That is something else, man.
Yeah, and then so we were talking afterward, and he says, "Well, what are you going to do now?" And I said, "Well, I just got this invitation, and I said, I really don't know what to do." He said, "Come by my office tomorrow."
Did he get you a ticket?
He paid the plane ticket.
Wow.
He said, "You're not going to miss this gig."
That is amazing.
Yes, it is.
Count Basie paid your way
Paid
to
my way.
Pasadena. Wow.
And then when I sang on that show, that's where
amazing.
I met Louis.
That's
and
awesome.
that was that.
So now, when you played the TV show, you did a special, was it a Timex?
Timex special. Mm-hmm.
All Stars or something, and that's such a great clip because I think it's got Gene Krupa starting the song. And,
well, the way it is, the whole show, they had way too many artists in 1 hour.
Right.
And they had to just segue all the time
Yeah.
and make medleys out of everything and jam it together. And so then Louis and his band had different artists come on and off with them and do. Anyway, they had this whole setup, and I hadn't been able. This is the other thing. I couldn't get to New York. I had the ticket, but I couldn't get a flight. It was New Year's.
Right.
They're all booking the flights, and it's all booked up. Whoa. Well, anyway, I finally managed to get on something, and I got back to New York, and I went right from the airport to the TV station, which was in one of those big skyscrapers in the middle of Manhattan. And I walk in, and Louis and the band are just packing up.
Wow.
And George Simon, who was the director, looks at me and goes like, "Oh." Well, he says, "Sorry, but, we just can't, because in a live, it was all live then. You can,
Right.
So live shows, you have to rehearse all week to put that show on because one day you do the lights, next day you do the positions, next day you do the whatever, the sound. So I had missed all of that, and George Simon was just saying, "Well, can't do it." But Louis is sitting on the edge of the stage. I got a picture of it. He's sitting on the stage, got a shoe off and his white athletic socks.
Right.
Rubbing his feet, and he sees me come in, and I tried my best to make eye contact because I knew if I did, that he's really the boss.
He's gonna stick up
so
for
I
you.
look at him, and hi there, and so George Simon gets fixed. He says, "All right, you can have 60 seconds. What can you do in 60 seconds?" I started to say, "Well, listen, this is the blues. You have to develop the thing. You can't just jump in it." And then I go like, "Hold your tongue. Don't be silly. You got 60 seconds. Use it."
Use it.
Well, only about 2 months before I had done the Bobby Troop show or some other L.A. show.
TV show, yeah.
And I had sung Old Fashioned Love.
Right.
And I knew that a whole chorus of that was 60 seconds.
Ah.
So I said, "Well, I won't do a blues then, I'll do Old Fashioned Love." Okay, fine. So Louis, "Come on back, fellas." And okay. And then we run through the song one time, the band leaves, Louis is still sitting there, and he says, "It's too fast, right?" Yeah. And it was way too fast.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, Pops, it was too fast." He says, "That's all right, we'll fix it, because I'll have Krupa changing tempo when he does his thing." And that's why you see that happen.
Wow.
That is exactly why it happened.
Too much. Man.
Now, for instance, there's a guy right over there now that's giving you a little beat. Do you dig him?
Who's that? Jesus! Look at you, Jesus! Hey, Dean, how about beating out one with our band there, you know? Well, along with that, we have a couple of guests there, you know. Dane's gonna chirp one, and our boy Bob Hackett's gonna take a couple of choruses, and then he's gonna catch that train down there, you know, the Miami Villa Springs, where he's gonna open up there and kill them cats. Good. Are you ready?
Ready?
Sing, Gene.
All right.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's moments in life which are so, they just seem like they're meant to happen, but they happen by the skin of their teeth.
Right, right.
Just barely make it.
Barely make it, yeah.
Like catching the bus when you're going to be late for school.
Well, I like that about making eye contact with them, because it could have all just gone away.
I know, it could have.
You got all the way there.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I figured, Louis is the boss here.
He offered you wasn't it a tour?
Well, he did. He asked,
Europe or something?
He was about to make one of his State Department tours when he was Ambassador Thatch. Remember all that?
Right.
And he invited me to be the singer. Mm-hmm. Of course, I was over the moon. I mean, who wouldn't be? Yeah. That's the make or break of your lifetime.
Absolutely.
One of them. I got a lot of those.
You do have a lot of them, yeah.
Most of them broke. I made some. But anyway, that was really a dream of a lifetime. And then I got pulled off the tour at the last minute.
Barbara Dane sings the blues the way Bessie Smith sang them 3 decades ago, because it is natural for her to do so. Her voice qualities and her approach to the words of a song are at home with this style that hasn't been heard in so long. We introduce in evidence, Ain't Nobody Got the Blues Like Me.
Don't know what to do. Yeah, there ain't nobody got the blues like me. And if you can't help me, why don't you let me be? Ain't got a thing to call my own. I'm gonna leave town. Going through that high bridge, it's up and down. Yeah, there ain't nobody got the blues like me. And if you can't make me better, why don't you let me be?
Barbara Dane and Nobody Got the Blues Like Me.